too, shouldn't I? It's the last thing that I need to do. There we go.
Benny chat.
There we go. Hey, Benny. How are you? Benny's one of my mods. He's amazing.
What's up, Benny? 8-month subscriber, 100 gift subs. Chill out, brother.
Right. 180.
180. I misread.
180 gift subs he has.
Oh, I see. But the icons for 100, but it's more than that.
Yeah. I think you get one for the first 100, and then
they need 180.
Yeah, they need. Yeah. Well, he's 20 away from maybe getting another gift box. So, how are you?
Good. Just hanging. Setting up for evening chat with you or afternoon chat in your time zone.
Yeah, it's midday, so literally is an afternoon chat. I just got back from Perth last night. So I just did a show with Rule, which is the first kind of major show that I've done with him in over a year, which is very exciting.
I want to check to make sure. I hope, but my audio, I hope, isn't giving you your audio on your stream, if that makes sense. I'm just looking at the visuals, so I don't know if you want to check that real fast.
Yeah, just Benny, if you can let me know if you can hear any like echoes or anything. It's coming fine through my audio. Are you thinking that you're doubled?
Yeah, I'm just making sure. Nah, it's all good. All right, we're good then.
All good. Okay, great. That's what
I trust Benny.
Yeah. The link's just been sent out as well. G'day, Jay. Nice to see you here. Yeah, so I just got back from Perth. I just did my first really big show in like a long time, which is really, really exciting.
Whoa, Perth, that's far.
Yeah, it is on the other side of the country.
Corona didn't make it all the way there, did it? There's no way.
Well, it kind of did, and then they did a really good job of keeping it out for about, I think they've had no Corona in Perth for, I don't know, some crazy amount of time, like 8 months or something. So they're very strict with their borders.
Hey, good for them. It's easier when it's like a secluded area.
Yeah, they're on the other side of the country. So what up, Ash? What up, Mahara? There we go.
I'm just Instagram posting just so you think I'm not being rude on my phone.
No, do it. Connor's here. What up, Captain Lasagna? Good to see you here. Maddie.
Oh, hey, Connor.
Giraffe. Nice to see you guys here. Thanks for joining us today. We kind of work, yes. What up, Bill? We kind of scheduled this last minute last week when I had someone drop out of this particular spot, and then you were able to fill in, which is great. Well, you're not a fill-in. You're just able to step up earlier.
I take no offense.
Yeah.
I will be a
hey,
fill-in.
Katie. You'll be a fill-in whenever. No, it's so great to talk to you. I've been wanting to get you on for a while, and it was really good timing that you could jump in. So I appreciate that.
Of course. You know, I'm looking at your stream, and it looks like you crushed your subscriber goal. So congrats, but we need to set another one. Like, can't we go to like 500 now or something? It's overtime.
Really weird. I feel really weird about setting new sub goals. The most we've ever got is 464 in 1 month, which was crazy, like absolutely crazy. So I don't know, sometimes I feel like it encourages people so much. I don't know, it just feels weird sometimes. So, but you're right, we did crush it this month. We're
congrats.
going well. Thank you. And you were doing Twitch for a little while. Did you find it like the nightmare, like frustration that I do? Is that why you stopped doing it?
I mean, from the get-go, Twitch was really like a vessel for me to learn. It wasn't end goal.
Yeah.
So I think that alleviated some of the stress of being like, of gamifying the chat.
Yes.
But I totally can understand how frustrating it is, because it's like you're trying to get people on a platform while at the same time educating about the platform, which is really difficult.
Yes. That's the hardest thing. That's what I tell everybody. It takes about 2 months to educate the people. So if you don't capture them straight away, people will fall off. So, and also like, there's hardly any photographers on here. Like there are, there's the photography team. There's a group of core people that have been here a long time, but for the biggest part, it's not known as that platform. So it's a hard sell, and we're slogging through it over here.
Well, respect to you for keeping at it. I know you just had your correct me if I'm wrong, but like a year long,
Yes.
like
1 year.
when was that?
1 year anniversary. It was on the 21st of March. So
Oh,
it
we
was
just
really
passed it.
cool. It just passed, yeah. It was cool to look back. We had to look back at my first ever stream and wanted to like just how nervous I was, and then we looked at some highlights of some fun stuff that's happened over the last year, which has been really good. It's been honestly, it's been life changing for me. It really has. It's been such a positive thing, but it is also a lot of work and it's very stressful at times. And it's
Oh, I bet.
usually when something can go wrong, it does. And as my community will attest to, I've had many meltdowns on stream about things going wrong. It's been hilarious, but
I think yeah, Murphy's Law in full effect. I think that I've witnessed a meltdown, but I've also experienced it on myself. So I understand
yeah. When
deep
you
breaths.
see it as well, when I see other people experience it, I'm like, I know what this feels like. So just like,
yeah.
Oh, it's so frustrating. Anyway, we're
We've
here to talk about
relocated.
you today. We, as in me?
Yeah, wait.
What?
I know I haven't caught a stream in a while, so I apologize. But you used to be in like a room where your TV was there, and your husband would like watch sports.
Yeah. So I used to be up in the kitchen / lounge room dining, and then I guess when it all took off and we decided to do this seriously, I made the spare bedroom into a stream room. So that's where we are now.
Damn, well done.
Got some lights and it's all fancy, you know.
Do you change the lights to match your shirt?
I absolutely do. I've got all different colors as well, so we can get
attention
different
to
accents.
detail.
Oh yeah, we could look blue.
I respect that deeply.
I love it. But today I was just in a red vibe, you know. In a red mood today.
If you want, I have wait a sec.
Oh, I love it.
This is okay, right?
Oh my god.
This isn't too much, right? This is fine? Okay.
What is that for? Like, what is the purpose? It looks like
my
you got
light
pulled
can
over by the cops.
Yeah, it can do anything, and the first night we got it, I just turned that on and went outside and looked at my apartment from outside. I was like, that's funny.
That is hilarious. That's so good. Awesome. Well, it's so good to talk to you finally in, like, I guess, an interview capacity, so I get to let my community know exactly who you are and how influential you've been to so many people, myself included, which is really cool. So we're going to pull up some of your work in a sec, but I'd love for you basically to tell everybody how you started shooting in the music industry. I know that you were super young, and what those early days were like for you as well.
Yeah, of course. And if you ever want to dig any deeper and I don't go to a place you want to go, feel free to tell me where to go and I'll talk more to it. But yeah, I started in I don't know what it's called in Australia. Is it high school? High school, same thing?
Yeah, high school.
Yeah, I started in high school, so I was like, 14, 15. And I'm from Madison, Wisconsin, which is the equivalent of living farther into the country than Perth. And yeah, I just went to a lot of local shows, like 15, 20 people. And then eventually those shows, I became friends with like the people who booked the shows. And then eventually got a camera from my yearbook club at school and started bringing it with me. And I just started taking pictures. And they were not good pictures. They were just pictures that we could put on the MySpace of the people who booked the shows. And as the shows got bigger,
I love that.
Oh yeah, throwback. As the shows got bigger, I started, kind of growing with them, but they weren't that big. It was a lot of like hardcore, like metal shows. I was on the stage, and that kind of stuff. And I'm trying to I can send you a link of just like my old photos. Wait, let me see. I'll just text it to you.
Yeah. Text it to me.
Yeah, I just have this URL, even though it's not Prince. It used to be, but it's just got like all these old galleries that they just used to take a ton of live photos, and that's all I used to do. And they're all pretty, they're not anything.
Old galleries. Oh my god, this is cute.
So there's just a little venue.
This is so good to see. I love this.
Yeah, it's fun, and just got the watermark, Elmakias photography.
Yeah.
Throw them on the MySpace. And
this is great. This is so good for everyone to see as well, because it's like you could really see the progression as an artist, you know. It's like people don't start out shooting the big shows with the amazing lighting, and it's like, this is where you cut your teeth, these smaller venues and working for these smaller bands, you know.
Yeah, working. But, you know, just trying to take some pictures. This is in like 2006, 2005. So there weren't that many music photographers, and there wasn't that much use for the photography because social networking hadn't really become a thing yet. But
yes, you would have seen that whole progression as well.
yeah, it was crazy. So like as it became more of a thing, then I kind of found my way into it with more artists. And eventually, when I was in high school, when bands would come through that I was friends with, they would kind of, I would just leave school and go do photo shoots with them at parks or in my dad's garage or in my dad's, like, my dad would have houses that he was building because he was a construction builder. So I'd go there and take pictures of them or go to cornfields. I don't know, just do photo shoots with them and become friends with them. And they would sleep at my house after the show. And that's kind of how I became friends with people. Or at my parents' house, not my house.
Yeah, totally. So in those early days, are you still at school this whole time? Had you considered doing anything else, or was this like, did you really feel like you'd found your passion really early on, or were you just kind of just like muddling your way through and hadn't really made much of a decision?
I would say that the theme of my life, regardless, like whatever age I am a considerably younger person than that age for the majority. Like I am a very slow learner, and I am just quite immature. Not so much anymore, but especially when I was in high school. Like when I was in high school, I had no plans of career. I didn't have anything I was good at. I would pretty much, my report card was pretty bad. Like I just didn't do much school. I mostly just played video games and hung out with my friends, and listened to music.
Yeah.
And
so,
that's it.
Yeah. So if you talk about those early days a little bit, because I know, and we're going to talk about some of the conversations that you've started recently, some that I've been involved in and some that I've just been listening to, which is really great. But there's something that really resonated with me in that you were saying that when you first started, no one would take you seriously because you looked so young. So you often when we would talk about sexism in the music industry or different barriers that we faced as women, you were kind of like, look, I can't relate to being a woman, but I can relate to these barriers being put in place where nobody took me seriously. Can you talk a little bit on how that felt when you first started, and I guess people just thinking, you're just this kid with the camera sort of thing?
I mean, to be quite, like, I don't know if I would have taken me seriously either. You know what I mean? Like, looking back at who I was and what I was back then, it might have been for the best, because I needed to there were situations where I think I was put in professional, like, situations, like maybe photographing an artist or something, that I was a little bit ahead of my personal growth. And I think those things are good because they help you kind of grow up or get better. But oh man, did I embarrass myself so much and sometimes. And of course it kind of sucks, but I think that everybody deals with that to some capacity in every career, whether it's self-inflicted or it comes from the outside. It's like, I had like long hair and piercings, and I didn't dress well, and I didn't understand like social cues. Like it's very, I was from Wisconsin, so it's like nothing wrong with Wisconsin, but it's full of a bunch of really genuine, nice people, and navigating the industry of LA or the music industry has been always like super difficult for me because I know nothing about, I don't know how to explain it. I still don't know, man. It's just still hard. So yeah, I hope I didn't get too lost on your question. Sorry.
No, it's fine. There's a lot in that. One of the things is, and maybe this is why you're so open and willing to do this sort of stuff, because there's no way to do what we do, right? There's no one way to do. Every person that I've spoken to, every interview that I've done, everybody has had a completely different path. So it's not like you go to school and you study a thing and then you're a music photographer and then, there's no degree, there's no right path. So I completely understand what you're saying in that, like, all of us have to make so many mistakes just to, like, learn how to navigate this industry. And one of the things that I love since I've met you and in the last year or so is that you're really willing to have these open conversations that are essentially teaching people how to navigate, teaching people, that there are different pathways to doing kind of what we do.
Yeah, I vibe. Well, thank you for having me on and, I don't know, talking. I don't know. I appreciate that. Thank you.
No, it's fine. Katie said, Katie Ferris is in the chat. She said, when I pulled up to my first show as a 16-year-old female, the tour manager just stood and laughed at me.
Oh, man.
It's,
I'll tell you this, Katie. I think sometimes, granted, I don't know, but the 16-year-old part I vibe with, and I probably looked even younger when I'll tell you, like when I would drive to Milwaukee, which is like an hour from Wisconsin, but I had like terrible anxiety when I was younger. Like my palms would sweat the whole drive, and I'd get to this venue and I'd have to take a break just to relax, and I'd go in and I'd try to get my photo pass. And I remember like one time the venue yelled at me and accused me of like selling prints there or something. I don't know what happened, but this guy like spit on me and kicked me out. And I just remember sitting in my car crying, and I was too scared to like drive home because it was just a disaster. I was like, God, I drove, I know it's an hour is not far, but when I was a kid, it felt like what 6 hours feels like now.
Yeah.
And I just remember, booking a photo shoot with a band, and then the tour manager bringing the band back and me showing up, and I don't know, I didn't look the most credible. So
yeah,
it sucks. But
yeah. Well, maybe talk to like, in those situations, two things. Like, one, you had this crippling anxiety, which I know a lot of people relate to. It's something that I've seen in different forums before, or different message groups, like people asking, even like in my Discord, about how to deal with that type of anxiety. Obviously you did deal with it, and obviously you have overcome that, I guess, to an extent. Like you people that suffer anxiety, I know it's a continual thing, but do you have any tips in those situations for young people that might be listening now? Like what are your tips to dealing with that in the moment, and how did you kind of push through to not just quit and not just, go and try and pursue something else?
Well, when I was younger, I knew I had anxiety because I was medicated for it since I was like in like 3rd grade or something, really young. But I never really understood what it was until maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And I didn't understand that I just basically lived anxious my whole life. Like I didn't understand what it was to relax. And then there's points that stick out in my life where I legitimately had like these like full-on body sweats, panic attacks at photo shoots. And it was paired to the fact of like how the artist was treating me, or how stressed I was and how much I cared about it. And I think for the most part, I don't think I handled it. I think my ignorance to exactly what I was experiencing kind of got me through it. So I just didn't fully understand, hey, this is a serious thing. And actually one of my craziest experiences with anxiety was in Australia, in Melbourne, at a workshop when I started drinking coffee in Australia when I was like 22. It's like the first time I had it. And I'd never had it before. And I've told this story before, so I don't know if I've told it to you, but I apologize if I'm repeating it.
I haven't heard it, so this is great.
Well, I had this show at like 1000 Bend, I think. It was like a coffee shop art gallery. It was with Kane.
1,000 Pound Bend. Yeah,
yeah,
with
there.
Kane Hibbert.
Yeah, it was with
Kane's
Kane.
a legend.
And Jonathan Weiner and me. And I was like 22 or 1 or something. And I flew to Australia to go see it. And I sat in this coffee shop, and I had a long black, which is like, I believe, 2 shots of espresso. And it was the first time I had coffee in my whole life. And I was like, this is amazing.
God.
I feel great. And while I was there to help pay for everything, I booked a workshop. Like I was going to lead a workshop at this camera store around the corner. It was like 2 floors. I forget the name of it.
Michael's.
Maybe. Yeah. I was cool. They were really nice.
Yeah, they're like an institution. They're awesome.
Yeah, so that morning of the workshop, I went and I had 3 long blacks because I was like, well, if 1 feels good, I can't imagine what 3 feels like. And I literally got up in front of the class and started to talk and had a legitimate panic attack. Like this all goes in hand in hand. Like you guys, like I am totally oblivious to things. Like I just try it. I didn't realize what I was doing. Like I didn't understand the implications of it, and I was so embarrassed that this class of people, like 20 people, looking at me, thought I was like on drugs or doing something, and I just had to look at them and be like, "You guys, I don't know what happened. I can't talk right now, and I feel like crying." And they were like, "Well, what did you do this morning?" They were so nice. And I told them I had coffee, and they explained to me what was happening, and I took a 30-minute break, and then I did the workshop. But that day was like on the train back to where I was staying, I was like so out of it. And that was when I really learned what anxiety was. I was like, oh.
Wow.
So
and what stimulants
that's a long story,
do your anxiety? No, I love it. That's awesome. Ash just said, "Did you shit yourself?" I'm surprised you didn't with 3 long blacks.
I don't remember anything.
Yeah. Oh, it was nice that everyone was nice to you though, and they didn't. That makes me feel
shout out
good.
Australians.
Like, yeah, mostly we're pretty lovely, so that's good. Jim said, if I get nervous, the first thing I do is try to do one thing I know I can do really well and build from there. That's a really good tip. Jim,
oh, that's great.
I love that. That's so good, Jimbo.
Yeah. Meditation.
Meditation.
That's a good
I'm trying
anxiety
to think.
thing.
So my anxiety presents in a very high functioning, high doing. Like I have to. That's how my anxiety. Like I just have to do stuff, so I can't sit and just chill. It's why I'm really not good with things like I don't watch a lot of films. I definitely don't play video games. Like I actually have to be super productive, which is good in one sense, but kind of bad in another. It's very, very hard for me to switch off and just relax.
I vibe.
Yeah, it's great for work stuff, but it can mean that you kind of work yourself into the ground sometimes. So, I think a lot of people in the chat will definitely be resonating with some form of anxiety of some. I don't know. It feels very common with artists. I feel.
Yeah. Do you ever think? I know what you mean about movies, because I feel like I watched movies for the first time last year when I really sat down and focused. But I feel like a lot of the times, and I learned through meditation, that I'll be hanging out with somebody and their experience of the situation is totally different than mine, because I check out for long mind wanderings of thought processes that just happen. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Where yeah.
So a little bit of mine is that I used to work in film. So a lot of the time I'm watching a shot and I'm imagining where all of the people are standing on the set, because I know that they're just behind. Like I can't really get.
That's
it's
so
actually
cool.
a bit of a curse. So I'm I do struggle to pay attention a lot of the time, because I'm like, oh yeah, I just know that there's a group of people just behind there, and there's a group of, and I wonder what their job is, and I wonder if they're enjoying this, because I didn't always love what you're just going into this
roll end credits.
Yeah, and you're just like, what was going on in that film? So yeah, Jim just said, I do that too. I always think, man, some poor sucker had to drag that thing up there. Yes, it's exactly.
It's crazy. I remember
everybody. There you go.
I was gonna say, I remember the first time. There's so many things that I'm surprised how long it took me to really realize it, and this I would say was in my late teens. But I remember the first time I realized that, this is gonna sound so stupid, every shot of a film has to be created. I always thought, I was like, there's no way they made this whole set. There's no way this thing happened. This is not possible. And then when I started watching behind the scenes, I was like, oh my God, they do it this way. That's wild. Respect.
So one of the reasons that I stopped working in film is that I worked on a really big, huge budget 10-part Spielberg series that was shot in Melbourne, and
that's awesome.
I had a very boring job on that film, but I was coordinating transport, so it was cars and trucks and pickups and logistics, and that's what I used to do before I was a creative. I used to do logistics, so very boring.
But important. Boring, but very important.
Important. But there was a story on that film where there was a meeting. They'd have a meeting with all of the departments. They'd run through the script and say, okay, for this scene you need to build this set. So art department was there, and the art department manager missed one of the meetings. The next time that he came back to a meeting, they changed something in the script, so they didn't need a set that was currently being built. So he was in the meeting and he's like, they were like, oh, what happened to this scene? And they're like, oh, we scrapped that scene. And he's like, we're building a $400,000 set for that scene right now. And they're like, oh, we'll just pull it down. And I just remember this is
that's where the money goes.
That's where, like, and just pissing money up the wall, and it just made me feel really gross, and was like, is this what I want to be doing with my life? I don't know if this feels good. It's just, I don't know, something about that moment that just stuck with me, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could do it. But anyway, I digress into a story about nothing. G'day, Shelley. Nice to see you. She's here.
Hi, Shelley.
I'd love to talk to you about, so the first time I ever came across you would have been about 10 years ago when I first started.
Oh, wow.
One of my friends showed me must have been maybe your Instagram or something. At that point, you were, he said, this guy has really got down, I guess, the branding. Like, he really knows how to brand himself. And I think at that point you could get stickers or something. He was showing me this stuff. It was just like a whole brand around you. And I was like, oh my God, and first of all, I didn't know any other, at that point, like music photographers doing what I wanted to do. So it was really inspiring to see, oh my God, there is somebody that's doing this, because it's, as you know, pretty rare. But I'd love to talk to you about, like, the steps into, was that a conscious choice to kind of make this kind of brand out of yourself, or was it something you just kind of fell into, or how did that kind of come about, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it was both based off of necessity, and it kind of fell into it, and it was kind of a thought process. So it was all these different things. I mean, my brand, when I was shooting in Wisconsin, I had a brand there, and I kind of identified that really helped me get a lot of my jobs. And my brand was simply that I wore this vest all the time. And I have it actually in my closet. I wore this vest everywhere. Every show I'd shoot, I'd wear this vest. And then everywhere I went, people would kind of be like, oh, that's the guy that takes those pictures. And it really helped me navigate the industry. And that was me kind of learning what networking was, right? And at that time, I didn't have like a bald head or anything like defining like that. Moving forward, I started marketing myself with the bald head when I shaved, obviously. But that happened in like 2012, 2013, or maybe 2012. And it just, like, as soon as I shaved, like, everybody kind of associated with that with me. And the way I learned everything I did was based off of bands. And I mean, I didn't have any music, but I was like, they make all their money on merch. And nobody really buys photographs in these worlds.
Yes.
And I didn't get paid that much money for my photo shoots, and I wanted to tour and do all these things. So I was like, well, why don't I just start selling merch? And I'm thinking, I think it started with, it had to do with mostly the fans of those artists, right? I was working with All Time Low and Pierce the Veil and A Day to Remember, and all these bands with these really young, like 13 to 18-year-old fans that were super active online, and I could put something out there and kind of get a response and understand I could kind of learn from that and what direction I would go. So, I worked with a lady named Kelly at the time who's awesome. She's a photographer, and a guy named Colin. And together we kind of crafted this brand around my bald head and my cat. And, for me, it was always just like, all right, think of yourself as a cartoon character and think about these things that really stand out. And, I would just be like, okay, so how can we merchandise this? And eventually, it became like, I was like, okay, bands, if you shoot with me, you've got to, like, sounds ridiculous, but I was like, you got to credit me on Instagram. And that was like a whole process because nobody was doing that. And then after we did that, I was like, okay, you have to sell prints of the photos, and then I'll come on tour with you and we'll make money off that. And then they started selling my shirt at their merch table. I got my own merch table on Warped Tour. And it was just like this progression of like, I don't know what we're doing, but it works, and nobody will pay me for anything else, so we'll keep doing it. And it was fun. And I don't know. And there was lens bracelets too. That's kind of what started it.
Yeah,
that was like I remember
the bracelets as well. Jim's asked if you do transcendental meditation.
I don't know what that is.
Transcendental. I don't know what that is.
I'll have
either.
to go research it.
Yeah.
I use Sam Harris's Waking Up app. I like
yeah.
his app a lot.
Yeah. He's got
so
such a soothing voice, Sam Harris. Like it sometimes when I'm listening to my podcast, he puts me asleep because his voice is it's so considered.
Yeah.
I don't know if you listen to his podcast, but he's
on another day, I was wondering. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I'm just having a look at some of your BTS photos that you sent, which is really cool to see.
Oh, you mean at 6?
Yay! This is obviously backstage at a festival. This is what usually
Leeds.
So if anybody ever wants to know how exciting backstage at most festivals are, this is essentially what it looks like. Is a bunch of
all
portables and
all the opening bands are not headliners, get 1 or 2 of those little things, or none of them, depending on where you are, and then the headliners get what's called a compound, and they get a bunch of those in a circle with a wall where you can't go inside.
Or you can't go in at all. Yeah, and so I always think that like people think that the backstage of a festival is a certain way, and it's usually there's some festivals that do it really well. Splendor in the Grass does it really well here in Australia, but otherwise it just looks like that. It's like, it's not overly exciting. I wanted to talk. They do. They absolutely do. What do you think your first big break was? What was the moment where you were like, things really started happening for you? Was there a particular artist that you was the first big artist that you worked with?
I mean, big has been so relative for me, but I would say like the breaks come for me when I would make, relative to my career, what I would consider like a big jump. So for me, like the first time I toured with a band, which was 4 Letter Lie, and they're like a US band, and I went on a full van tour, and these shows were like 20 to 100 kids. It was nothing, but that was like a big break for me because I was like, wow, I'm doing it. Like I'm going.
I'm doing
and then
the thing, guys. I'm doing the thing.
The first time I got flown out for a shoot, a small band called Envy on the Coast of New York, but they flew me out when I was in high school, and it was great. And I would say like my first time where I was like, holy shit. Can I swear on your? I don't know.
Yeah,
holy crap.
Absolutely. You absolutely can.
Holy shit. I had a shoot with. I would say I probably wouldn't do this now, but at the time, like I had my girlfriend that I was seeing. It was in 2010. Was seeing me in California, and I got a last minute photo shoot with Tiesto because my friend was working for him, and I was like, this is the biggest artist by a long shot that I've ever worked for. And so I flew to Miami and did a thing with him at Ultrafest. And then the next week I did a thing with him in the desert in Vegas. And then the week after that we did Coachella. And that was like the biggest break I ever had, where I went from like working with decent sized artists to working with somebody who what I would consider was like a straight celebrity. Like there were so many experiences I had with him that were firsts and blew my mind. I was like, this is real. This is crazy.
Yeah. You can see the potential then of what's possible, I guess, when you're working with an artist that's that big.
Yeah, it was wild. It's just, I mean, I feel like you get so many moments like that in the music industry, and I'm sure you can relate, where you're like, this is real. Like, this guy goes into I remember he went into a casino, and they comped his meal, and then gave him $1,500 to go gamble with. And I was like, excuse me? What just happened?
Absolutely can relate to that. Yeah, there's been so many times where, I don't know, you'd be talking to somebody, just casually having a chat with someone that's, been your idol for 15 years, and you're just like, I cannot believe this is happening. Like, I never thought I would be in this position that I'm talking to this particular person, or I'm working for this person, or I'm in. It's pretty special. It's pretty special what we do, I think.
Yeah, I was trying to think of moments where I'd like been on tour and I had a moment where I was like, this is sick. And one of them was Rock'em Ring, which was on the Nürburgring. I'm saying that wrong, but it's a big racetrack in Germany. It's Rock'em Ring, Rock'em Park. Rock'em Park is another one, but I was sitting side stage with A Day to Remember and Bring Me the Horizon, who were both really good friends of mine. and we were rocking out watching Korn and Limp Bizkit play on stage. And I was like, I'm here sitting with bands that I call my peers that I looked up to when I was a kid, watching other bands that we all looked up to when we were kids. And that went out when I was just like, I love these moments because it felt so like, I felt so accepted.
Yes.
And it was like really
yes.
nice. I don't know.
That's
Sorry
really
if I'm going on too many riffs.
No, I love this. Like, this is awesome. Gypsy J's asked, is there a show or a job that you're most proud of?
Oh, man. A show or a job that I'm most proud of? I would say for me, the photo that always meant the most to me was, there's a photo I took with, it really changed my career because I would go to venues early a lot of the times to do photo shoots. And when I started working in photography and I would tour, or music, and I would tour, I actually wouldn't shoot any live or candids. I would just do photo shoots, as weird as that sounds. But it's because I was just doing photo shoots at home, and then went on tour, and I was like, my goal is to do more photo shoots. That's what I enjoy. And nobody was doing candids and lives at the time. And then there was one time in San Diego when I first started living here that I went to a show for Suicide Silence. And I showed up early because I knew the band and I knew some people, and I shot their sound check. And at that time, Mitch, the singer's daughter, was there, and her name's Kennedy, and she was probably like 3 or 4. She was really cute, really young. And after sound check, Mitch is like this really tall, tattooed, frontman of a metal band called Suicide Silence. And I had known Mitch actually for 5 years then when he would tour. I shot him back in Wisconsin, so we go back. And he was one of the first artists to respond to me, be nice. We had a relationship. And so he's skating around after sound check on Razor scooters with his daughter. I was like, this is so adorable. I'm going to photograph it. And then they went up to the dressing room before the show, and she was like stretching with him before the show, and it was so cute. And I photographed that, and it really like made me feel some type of way that photos didn't usually make me feel. And I changed my whole perspective on it, that a lot of the moments that are important to the artists aren't the ones that are important to the fans. And that was a really important photo shoot for me because a few years later, Mitch passed away, unfortunately, and those photographs are very prominent in his daughter's life and were used for his memorial. And that was just a very nice thing to be able to help her along with. And it really changed how I looked at photography in the music industry, I guess. So that's
you've touched on some beautiful moments. No, I love that so much. I've had a couple of similar moments, actually, and I think one of the most powerful moments, or when you really realize like how special what we do can be, is when someone passes, and how much those photos can mean to the people that love them. I've had a couple of my photos used, as the big photo up in the church or on the program, or something. It's like the biggest honor. It's like a photo that you've taken is used to represent someone's life, and it's it's really, really beautiful, and those moments always really stay with me. So I completely resonate with that. And something you just said was, which I think is really important for people in the audience to hear, is that sometimes the photos that mean the most to the artists, because that's who we're working for essentially. It's like we're working for the artists. Like they're not the ones that'll mean anything to the fans, but having the connection with the artist and knowing what photos will be really important to them is really cool. It's really cool to learn that, I think.
Agreed. I was trying to look at I was trying to find the photo to send to you. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm just texting you.
I'm looking at the photo. Is this from Coachella? There's a photo that's up on. It's a black and white one with
Of me shooting.
Yeah.
No, that's at let's see, Ferris wheel in Europe. It's European festival run.
European.
I want to say it's I don't remember, Copenhagen festival maybe.
Cool.
I don't remember where that is.
I'm gonna
maybe
pull up
Reading
the
at
photo that you were just talking about.
Download.
The blog post. Oh my god.
Yeah, Mitch was really cool. Really, really good frontman.
That's so beautiful.
And it's crazy because Kennedy's like obviously 10 years older now.
Yeah.
So Ollie, actually, that's Ollie from Bring Me In, Mitch from Suicide, and we did like a fundraiser for Mitch and he wrote, like, he signed every one of the prints, and then we sold them and donated the money to his daughter, which I thought was really cool of Ollie, because the photograph sold, but it was really, the Ollie helping out and signing it and doing that really helped people.
That really, yeah.
So I thought that was cool of Ollie to do.
That's very cool. I love that. Emotional, very emotional. One of the things I wanted to let everybody know is that you have a podcast called Don't Shit on the Bus.
The segue of all segues.
The segue of all segues. Can you talk a little bit about what made you start that podcast and, how's it going? How are you enjoying doing a podcast?
Dude, it's awesome. So it started because I actually wrote a book query, which if you haven't wrote a book, which I would assume is the majority of people in the world because I fell into that category up until a year ago, it's basically you write the whole layout of the book and then you write chapters. So it was like a 40-page thing, and it was called Don't Shit on the Bus, and it was meant to be for music photographers, and I wrote it, and I didn't have any success getting it published, and I was like, okay, maybe this is too narrow of a thing, but I have all this stuff, so I was like, well, I need to do more research, so I was like, let's do a podcast. And the goal of the podcast is to kind of educate people who don't know what tour is about tour. And then after they know, like, that was like the first 2 seasons, right? It's like, okay, we taught everybody all the lingo about touring. Second season was we're teaching about all the jobs. We're pretty much done with second season. And then third season is going to be like our first episode of third season is with Mark Hoppus and Robert Ortiz, which is his guitar tech. And they're just talking about their relationship on the road and how they work together. And then our second episode is with, I don't know which one, I think it's Shane Told from Silverstein. And we're just talking with musicians and crew and trying to help people who are even experienced on touring learn about what makes a good vibe on the road. Like what makes a good community and a more welcoming community, and not so much the old vibe of like a road dog or like this harsh, rigid workspace. Because it's definitely changed, and we love that.
Yeah. Have you seen that that progression in the last kind of 10 or so years of touring?
Oh my God, yes. Because I would not be able to survive on the road the old way. Like, I get beat up, and I consider myself pretty strong-willed, and it's still pretty hard. So, like, I can't load out a vehicle. Like, I'm if I wasn't a photographer, I would not be able to tour. Like, I am so bad at, or I'm not good at it yet. To be able to lift heavy objects and do that. But I think it's way more welcoming now, and it's like people are just more educated and they're more well-rounded, and they come from so many different backgrounds, and technology has really enabled so many more diverse types of people to get on the road, not just these like super strong, rough, like traditionally men that are just out there like really not sleeping, and I don't know if it's that attractive of a thing that I would even want to be involved in. At least that's my like perception of it. I'd have to really talk to somebody who toured and really understand it to a full extent from their experience. That's just what I've seen on like work tour. Yeah,
totally. We're just looking at some of your Diplo photos now as well. It's, this is
Pakistan.
A vlog that you did, which I'd love to talk to you about in a sec as well.
Yeah, of course.
And so you've got a third season of the podcast coming up, did you just say?
Yeah, third season. It goes, and this one is like, now we're finally kind of going, it's more just interviews and level ups, and like hopefully anybody who's experienced. It starts in 2 weeks, and the episode with Mark Hoppus I'm very proud of, because Neil is in A Day to Remember, and he's my co-host, and that's like his idol. And then
so
Mark
cool.
Hoppus's tech is one of my idols because he's a photographer and he's a really good crew member. So it was a really funny interview, and Neil wouldn't ask Mark Hoppus to be on the show because he was like, I don't want to get told no. And I was like, all right, I'll ask him. I could take it, Neil.
That's awesome.
It was pretty funny.
Awesome. Gypsy J said, fine, don't fuck in the truck is next. That's the next.
Jesus Christ. I don't know what world you come from, but these rules are very different.
That's so funny, Jay.
One of them
God.
people accidentally do. I'll let you figure out which one it is. Not yours.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I'd love to hear the story behind this. You went to Pakistan with Diplo while we're looking at these photos. This is so cool.
Dude, this is one of my favorite trips, and I wish Diplo would take me on more trips, but the reality is that I don't create enough content. I'm just like too artsy, and I don't shoot much videos, so he'll take me on a few things here and there, but he really needs somebody to like create his brand as he goes, and I'm not that. But I do love doing these fun, like this specifically was shot, this whole day was during an interview with The Guardian, so these were shot for that, and basically he hit me up, well, he didn't hit me up, but his TM hit me up a week before and was like, hey, we're doing this crazy trip. Their photographer had some personal issues going on. Do you want to fill in? And it was like Pakistan, India, South America.
Wow.
And it was crazy. So we flew out to Pakistan, and it's like 30 some hours of travel, and we got there at 2 a.m. And we get off the plane, and we go through. It was the first time I'd ever had like an what's it called? Escort. There we go. Through customs. Escort through customs, like a political escort. And we go, and then everywhere we go, and we go to like this compound, and we get there by 4 a.m. We had it was like 4 armored cars with 15 security guards everywhere we went, and bulletproof vests. It was crazy. And we stayed on this compound with like this family, slept for 2 hours, and then we were awake for 26. And I drank so much coffee. Or chais. They do chai there.
Chai.
And it was crazy. We got that's an understatement, but literally slept for 2 hours, woke up, and then we're just driving, shooting, going out to eat, visiting places he wanted to visit. They gave this guy $100 for letting us take this photo, which is the equivalent of giving somebody like months of work money. Like he's working by gathering that stuff.
These photos are so beautiful.
Thank you.
Really gorgeous.
Yeah, I love working with him. He's so down to take photos, and he's super artistic, and just listening to him get interviewed all day, it was just amazing. I really respect him a lot, and he's very passionate about culture.
It makes such a difference when you have an artist that's keen to do photos and stuff, because if you ever have the opposite of that and it's your job to take photos but they're not really into it, it's just like pulling teeth. It's like I can't really do my job if you're not, you don't want to ever leave the tour bus or whatever the situation is. That can be really tricky.
No, it was hard for me to adjust because I came from being with a full 5 member band who would 1 or 2 members want to hang out, to being with this guy who would put my limits to the test, and I was not used to that because I'm not kidding, we had a layover in Dubai one time for 12 hours that started in the afternoon and ended at 6 a.m. or something, and we were up the whole night going around Dubai. He wanted to go to the gym at 2 a.m. And then we flew from Dubai to South America, and we got there, and we were there for 2 hours, and he wanted to go on a run and a hike for 6 hours. And he doesn't take security with him. It's just us. And we went through a favela, and he's like, no, I've done this before. It's cool. And then I'll get a text from his tour manager. It's like, where did you guys go? This isn't he's just on one all the time. It's crazy.
Wow.
But sorry, obviously I get excited. I missed it.
No, it's great. And obviously those this lifestyle really suits him as well. It's when you find those people and you get to document their world, that's the dream job. This is...
Yes.
I would probably have to sleep a little bit though. That would definitely test my limits as well. But
I don't know how. I would say that the excitement of it kind of gets
adrenaline
you up.
Gets you
through.
Yeah,
you're okay, I get it. You're seeing these amazing places. And I'm not kidding. He is so well educated and intelligent on culture that everywhere you'll go, he'll teach you about everything. He'll be like, this is why this music is created here, and they do this because of this, and I lived here for a year, and because he loves everything. That's the lady's
That's
house.
so
She
cool.
owned the house
Oh
that
my
we're staying
god,
at.
she's so
It was like her
sweet. She got a
family.
little
Yeah.
face.
She sits in that room and smokes cigarettes and sleeps on the bed next to it. And she's got like a copy of like the Torah, the Bible, and like all these religious books there. And she's just like, there was ostriches on the property. It was crazy.
That's so cool. And so, were there any? I was just going to say, were there any shows? This looks like this potentially is a show here.
Yeah,
there was a show as well.
Yeah, and you can't really see it in this photo. I might have a close up coming up, but the security was this was the barricade. Those people holding their arms out. And to get to the stage, they formed like a bubble around us like that, and we almost got like trampled, and there was a bomb threat which was taken quite seriously. It was like the craziest 24 hours ever.
Oh my god, it looks so much fun. I'm just like, I've got like goosebumps. I think this would have been so awesome.
Oh my god. It was, I am so thankful. Like sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I could do it more, but then I think I'm like, okay, I'm just happy I got to do it once.
Yeah. Just, I understand that feeling. How have you been over the last year? Because your life would have been like, it's dramatically changed, obviously.
I'll tell you, but can I tell you a funny story? Wait, go up to that photo with the group of the guys. I know I'm a little bit delayed, but there's one above it. There's two. The first one, you can see the dog pee, and I tried to tell the guy, but he kneeled down in it, and I was like, all right, man, you got it. You kneeled. The second picture, he kneeled in it.
No. Oh no, he's in the pee.
Yeah. Those are security guards.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, I've been all right. I'm on unemployment. I had a few photo shoots, if that. Like I did some weddings. I converted to doing the podcast and learning a bunch. I work with my friend Connor and this wonderful lady named Darian and my friend Neil. So we have the podcast. I have an agency that helps other creatives get booked. Unfortunately, we were mostly gearing towards the touring world, but we kind of audibled and just did music videos. So that I've found ways to fill my time, but it's been a struggle because, I just had to change my direction.
Yeah, your whole outlook's gone for. I mean, it's so cute. This. Oh my god, I can't do it.
Michelle, so Diplo had to go back to the States to do the Super Bowl and a late night show, but it was too much money, or he didn't want us to come with him. So they gave us like a stipend, and we're like, go on vacation somewhere and meet us in India. So we went to Sri Lanka and just chilled there for 3 days.
Oh my god.
And it was amazing. And I was like, and that was our like guide. He was awesome. We found that puppy on the beach.
Oh my god, this is like literally the dream job. That's
what I'm saying. I was like, I'll fill in whenever you got this stuff. I don't want to do your club shows, but if we're going to Pakistan, sign me up.
Yeah, totally. You've worked with him a few times, haven't you? Because I remember seeing the photo that you were working on once. It was like a composite, like there was like a bunch of Diplos in a room.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I went to his house during the pandemic and we did that in LA. He's like,
that's right, because you were going to try and do a series or something, but people were like, I think you said people were like kind of weird about.
Yeah, I'm hoping to pick it back up. A lot of people were down. I've worked on it for years. A lot of people were down, but just not during the pandemic. And I was like, fair enough. I thought it was a good pandemic project, but a lot of people I hadn't worked in that capacity with. But I want to do more of it because it's like something I actually enjoy, and it's challenging and fun But yeah, he's like, a lot of the time when you get to artists on this level, they're like, I find that they kind of swing back where they're very personable and they care. And I don't know, I look up to him a lot. And I've known him since like 2014. So he's been very helpful to work with me over the years.
It's so good to hear that. It's really nice when you hear that about artists, like that are on that level. Hey, Dayshawn, nice to see you. It's just nice to hear those stories.
What's up, man?
You hear that they're just awesome people and just like, oh, that's so good.
Okay, so that photo of him sitting above where he's so that when we flew into India, we stayed at this hotel in Mumbai, and then the show was in Pune. I'm saying it wrong, but Puni. And it was like a 6-hour drive, which they're like, okay, we're going a 6-hour drive today. And I'm like, all right. And he works whenever he can. So he had his laptop with him and it died halfway through. And he's like, I need to charge my laptop. And we're like, okay, okay. So we pulled over to like this food thing in India and he's just charging his laptop for a little bit. And we were almost missed that show that night. It was crazy.
Oh my God. The anxiety.
I was just like, I mean, it doesn't affect me. I'm just like,
No.
I'll just take it.
But the residual anxiety, I don't know. I have this, like, I feel other people's vibes a lot. So if there's anxiety in the room, I will take it all on.
Hey, respect.
Oh, yeah, yes and no. Cannot be a great thing sometimes. But I wanted to talk to you about you've been on Clubhouse recently and you've started some really really amazing conversations. First of all, how are you finding that app? Are you liking being on Clubhouse?
I don't intake too much on Clubhouse, to be honest, but I do like to do my talks. I'm just like, I find myself quite busy and I don't have a lot of time to listen. I need my content to be a little more refined and time aware. So I do vibe with podcasts a little more, as I'm sure you can relate, but I do enjoy it. I think there's a lot of room for improvement on it, but they're onto something. But
yeah, it's actually replaced podcasts for me at the moment. Because
oh wow,
I'm
well
hearing,
done.
I'm really good at multitasking. So I like either listening when I'm editing or listening when I'm walking, or so I do. There's a lot of time during my day where I am consuming, which I really enjoy. Like I like using that time to actually learn or. And there's just some really interesting people on there that I'm learning a lot from. So
that's
I'm
awesome
really
and great to hear.
It definitely depends on who you follow. And a lot of the people that I follow are people that I either listen to their podcasts or I found them through those people, and then they're just having really interesting conversations that I'm not hearing anywhere else, which I really like.
That's great.
It's like, it's humanizing people again. So some of the tough conversations that don't really go down well on other platforms, I think are working really well on Clubhouse. So, which is exciting.
No, I agree with that.
Because I think we need those conversations. So, but yeah, I wanted to talk about some of the conversations you're having on the platform. You've been, for the last few weeks, having a conversation specific to sexism in the music industry. What sparked your interest in, I guess, holding space for those conversations and allowing different women to speak?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff starts what I would say I would consider selfishly, but I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean like I want to learn these things and I see a lot of value to doing it publicly because other people can learn along with me. But the initial, like when I'm teaching on the podcast, I found that a lot of the people that were joining the Patreon were women, and I just didn't have a lot of experience or knowledge to relay to them. So one way to teach them is to bring on women guests, but there's also not as many women guests as I would like there to be. So I was trying to learn as much as I could from the people that are women in the industry so that I could relay that information and also understand a little bit more of what's going on to help teach the people that are coming up or direct them on who to follow or listen to and just educate myself better. And for my own self to kind of just understand what it's like to come from, you know, the other side of it, you know, an area that I don't really have any experience in. And I talked with Amplify Her Voice, and we concluded, and some other friends, and Anna Lee helped me a lot, that there wasn't so much men and women talking about this issue at all. It was mostly just women, which is fine, but I think there needs to be more men and women talking about it because, and I think that Clubhouse is perfect for that because talking is listening as well, and I think it's good to have those conversations because the questions that women ask each other are good, but the questions that men ask women, I think, are really important as well because that's usually, hopefully, the stuff that they want to know and don't know about. So to do that publicly is difficult and sometimes hard because if you slip up, like there can be some pretty heavy repercussions that I'm kind of okay with that at this point. I'm just like, all right, I'm just trying to learn, and
I mean, that's a
yeah.
shame when that happens. Like, especially when people are really trying. That's something that I really don't like, when people are genuinely trying to learn, and if they slip up and use the wrong language, for example, or even if they say something wrong, like when people come down really hard, like we need to allow space for growth and learning, and that means sometimes people will make mistakes and say the wrong things or whatever. That's part of the learning process. What up, Danny? Nice to see you here.
I think. Sorry.
No, keep going. Keep going.
I was gonna say, I think that a lot of the time I find that people who are hard on me or other people online are generally just have a little bit less life experience, and I think I have very little life experience too, and there's people that have a lot more than me. And I'm not excusing or putting everybody in this group, but sometimes I see people going back 10 years in people's history and getting mad at them for what they did, and I understand there's a line to be drawn. Like, there are some things that I think no matter how long ago they should be condemned, but I mean, me 10 years ago, I would hope that I was different, and I would hope that I had changed and grown, and if you went back and found things that I did 10 years ago, I would probably be right there with you saying that they're not okay or they're wrong, and I think that growth is like the thing I focus on the most. So I think that it's important, and like Bill said it, or no, yeah, Bill, it's good. Men need to hear other men talking about it too. It helps make it more normal and make it less like taboo or scared of, and people learn the right way to talk about it, so they can like learn and not be shut down just because they might have used the wrong word that they didn't know was a wrong word.
Yeah, I think too that men can just learn from other men and from their mates, and if someone pulls them up in a certain situation, they're actually probably more likely to listen, which is really positive. So those types of conversations I think are so important. And yeah, I completely agree with you. We all have to have the space to grow, and absolutely things we said 10 years ago, and as someone that this has actually happened to, like, we're not the same person, like, and
oh God, no. Thank God.
it's like and also I also feel like when I see those situations happening now, I'm like, 10 years from now, what people are thinking are going to be like, it's going to be complete, because we keep evolving. So it's like a never-ending gotcha moment, which I think is actually not productive at all. You can have the moment and be like, if you've already learnt from that, you're not that person anymore. It's like you're 10 years away from that person. It becomes not a gotcha moment anymore. It's like we've had the learning, we've moved on from that space. So but I think that the space that you're creating on Clubhouse is really lovely, and I just wanted to thank you for doing that. And the thing that's actually really impressed me is that it wasn't like you just did it once and ticked a box and was like, oh, I did the thing. It's like, because that's sometimes what happens. It's like, it's, someone has the thought and they're like, I want to try and learn, and they try and learn once and they listen to a couple of people and then they've moved on. But this is something you've been doing for months now. You did it on Twitch with a bunch of us, and now you've moved on to Clubhouse, and it's it feels very genuine to me. So
well, thanks.
It feels like you are really trying to learn, and well,
thanks for joining too.
Also, no, I always try to be there if I can be there. So what up, Frank? Nice to see you. Frank's all the way from Hawaii as well. Gypsy J's we bullied Gypsy J into joining Clubhouse, so he's on there as well now. So he's going to be able to join some of those chats, which is good.
That kind of bullying I do accept. If you want to bully someone to get onto Clubhouse, let's go.
Positive bullying, that's what I call it.
Posy bullying. All right.
Posy bullying, yes. I will let you go shortly because we've had you for over an hour now. Are there any last questions for Adam before we let him go? Please feel free to ask ask anything in the chat. I'd love to know what's next for you. What are your goals? What's 2021 and the future looking like for you?
Oh man, I'm trying to be healthy, consistent, and trying to have my goals are mostly just to stay consistent with my weekly things, like getting the podcast done, growing the community around the podcast with the intention of changing the touring industry as much as I possibly can by bringing in new talent and new people and teaching them what it's like and getting them on the road. And I'm determined to get the people that maybe couldn't find that path before. I want to help them. So
yeah,
that's like really, I'm really passionate about that. So I'm just working on that like every day. And that's my main goal. And then to be a good friend to my friends. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go.
No. I was interrupting you. I was just saying I love that. And one thing I really love about your podcast and all the conversations that you have too, because you dive into what the different roles on touring as well. So it's not just about photography, it's about what other people do. But it's the reality as well, because I talk about this all the time. The reality of touring is something very different to what people think touring is. And it's really important that people know what that reality is, because you could be having this goal in your head that you think, oh my God, I want to be a touring photographer. It's going to be the best thing in the world. And for some people it is, but there's elements of touring that I think some personalities would find very challenging, just for the nature. And it's not even going into some of the reasons that have made it challenging, say, for women in the past or whatever. It's just a challenging lifestyle in general.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
Gender regardless. Yeah.
Gender regardless,
it's not,
yes.
I mean, the coolest thing about the music industry is, and I really stress that, try to educate yourself on everything that exists, because as long as you're somebody who can network, you can find a place for yourself, whether that means being a publicist or a manager or working at a label or working on tour. There's a lot of jobs even within tour. I mean, if you're into sound or lights, or you're an artist, or you like admin or coordinating transportation, like there is a place for you in the industry. You just kind of have to figure out where you're going, and then you'll find your way. But yeah, so I agree. It's not for everybody, but it can be for a lot of people.
Yeah, it could probably be for more people than it is now. So that's good.
Yes, a good variety.
DCB said, not a question, but Adam was one of the main reasons I got into live music photography. So that's,
yes,
Danny, that's very sweet. Love that.
Well, thanks, Danny. Glad to be part of your journey, my guy.
It was Adam and Sammy Ronfelt, is it? Ronfelt?
Yeah, that's an Australian.
Yeah. I don't know Ronnie. I mainly because of my love for Tonight Alive, which I do know Tonight Alive because I'm very good friends with Jenna. So I know that band.
Oh yeah.
I'm actually seeing
I remember
them
when they first came on Warped Tour, Young Tonight Alive, 2012, I think it was.
Oh my God, Jenna would have been a baby. She would have been 16 or 17 or something back then.
Yeah, that was cool. They were so good. I love that band. They've been so nice to me over the years. They when a band kind of kicked me off tour, they took me on their vehicle, and I was like, not kicked me off, but didn't have space for me. They were like, you can ride with us. And I was like, sick, thank you guys. They were like,
so cute.
Picked me up in London one time and let me ride with them for a few days. They've saved my ass a few times.
That's pretty big too, because if you know what that the environment of the tour bus and stuff, to allow someone into that space, that's a big deal. You don't just let randoms on. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I had to pay for it with photos, so they got something.
Okay.
But it's a fair trade. It's a fair trade.
It's a fair trade, absolutely. Yeah. But the vibes have to match. You can't just let some rando on that's just not going to vibe with the crew, because that's the biggest disaster. And I've seen that happen before, when there's just one off personality. It affects everything. It really is it's not a vibe.
It is rough. It can be rough.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be a photographer. It's another thing to tour. And the photography is important, but being able to tour is probably even more.
Yeah, it's a personality thing, isn't it? It's you just need to be able to go with the flow and be very chill and not be fussy about much and just do
Don't
your
shit on the
job.
bus.
Don't shit on the bus. That's a number one rule. Like if you,
Yeah.
It's so funny when you actually say that to people. Like the immediate thought is panic. I think like
They're like, wait, are they being
so, like,
serious?
wait, are you being serious? And like, so what do you do? Is the next.
Yeah. How do you do that? You train yourself. Also, coffee only once the bus is parked. Also,
Yes, that's all. I don't drink coffee, but the whole like everyone on the bus did. So everyone would then have to wait till the bus stopped and they were somewhere.
or you can hot bag it. Yes,
Shelly.
Shelly.
Oh my god, Shelly.
We got a podcast listener, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my god, that is so funny. Bill said the best reward for being good at what you do and not being a jerk about it. Agreed. You don't have gas money, but you have a camera. There you go, Gypsy J. That's awesome.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, we shall let you go. Thank you so much.
You.
Let me get you up on the big screen so we can say goodbye to you. Really appreciate you coming on for a chat. That was super fun. It was good to hang out for the last hour and a bit.
Thank you for having me. I like that graphic.
No worries. Oh, the little
yeah, it's cool.
Sound effects. I'll hang around for a few minutes, guys, after we say goodbye to Adam. And just tell you what's happening for the rest of the week. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you on Clubhouse.
Yeah, we'll hang out. If you have any ideas or want help with anything or want to do anything, always feel free to run them by me or, I don't know. I know a lot of people. I know you do too, but I'm always here to help.
No, it's I started a club as well. It's called Australian Music Photographers, but it's literally just for anybody because I've just noticed.
All right, I'll join.
Yeah, there's just different time zones. So like Isha and Maggie have one that's like I usually miss their time zone, so I just thought there'd be another club for a hangout. And anyway, just talking shit.
Never too many clubs.
Seriously, never too many clubs. Mine is at the moment has been very casual, non-structured, just hangout sesh. Like that we don't really talk about anything. Some of the other, I mean, I love the really structured one as well, but it's more of a.
I'm gonna make one called Not Australian Music Photographers just for you. Is that all right?
I'll get all of the Aussies to join that one.
They're not allowed. That's the only. This is one that's purely exclusive. Yeah.
And it's in the bio, so we exclude specifically.
Yeah. Must not be surrounded by water. All right, cool. Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. I can't wait till we get to LA or you're a bit further north, aren't you now? Anyway, next time we're in the States and we get to hang out in person, that'll be super fun. Hopefully.
Agreed.
Not too long away.
All right, we'll see you later. Your day. Bye.
Catch you later. Bye.
Bye, chat.
Thanks for hanging out, guys. That was super fun. I'm halfway down and I'm done speaking. Exactly, Jay. How's everybody doing?